Hello, everyone. I'm Sheldon Barlett Rumor, and this is it. Welcome back to This Is It TV. It is always a pleasure, and you're all going to love this one. When we have our next guest on, I would love for him to reintroduce himself, his first and last name, and all he has up, what he's got going on.
Sheldon, of course, I'm Louis Bezich, men's health advocate, contributing writer to phillyvoice.com, and the author of Crack the Code, 10 proven secrets that motivate healthy behavior and inspire fulfillment in men over 50. How are you?
I'm so good. If you can't tell, I'm excited about this topic. I'm
Excited.
excited about this topic because it is something that is affecting so many of us. So many of us. What are we talking about today?
Well, today we're talking about pickleball. Now,
Talking
why are we talking about pickleball? Because as we age, of course, all kinds of things, Mother Nature and then other, man-made inflicted injuries and such
for sure.
affect our ability to sustain our physical activities.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, right now, one of those issues that's really affecting particularly men over 50, but men and women over
yeah,
50
for
in
sure.
particular, is injuries related to pickleball. Yes, while the interest has spiked nationwide, I would
Yes,
say,
for sure.
those injuries have spiked, and it's an amazing situation. Something like 90%, one study showed that 90% of ED visits are related to some form of pickleball injury these days. So it's really a thing. And the point being that
Yeah,
whether it's pickleball related or otherwise, we need to embrace the pivot.
we
Right?
have
We
to.
need to understand that as much as we may love a particular sport or an activity, that the chances are somewhere along the line we may have to pivot to something else. And
Yeah.
that's fine and that's good. And we can find fulfillment in those other activities.
Oh,
And it is, and you and I were talking
yeah.
before we went on the air here. What spurred all this in me is a trip I made last weekend. My wife and I made to Florida to visit a good friend of mine, a guy named Duke, who is a longtime buddy. Grew up together. Our dads were buddies. But we were there to visit him because he just had a terrible spill, an injury playing pickleball. Um,
No.
Shattered his femur,
Yeah.
4 hour surgery, 4 days in the hospital, and then another 10 days at rehab. So
Wow.
really brought it home. But I'm happy to say that,
Yeah.
Duke is recovering nicely, but less than 30 days from the injury, he's already pivoting and thinking about other forms of activity. So
Yeah.
that's part of what had spurred this and why this,
Oh.
we think, is such an important issue to talk about.
Oh, I think it's such an important issue. Number one, I want to preface this by saying congratulations to everyone in the pickleball community as
Yes.
it has gone from zero to a phenomenon in such a short period of time. Obviously, there was a void for more seasoned athletes or more seasoned
Mhm.
individuals that wanted to be active in something that was organized and something that was a game similar to tennis, similar to all of the course, I guess, activities and games that we tend to play. But with that excitement comes this kind of urge to jump right back in. And sometimes the mind is willing, but the body is
Yeah,
not, right? And so
right.
former athletes or former people who were more physical, maybe in earlier years, feel as if they could just kind of jump right in,
Mhm.
dive in, and that competitive nature, at least for me, takes over the
Yeah.
practicality of what your body can actually do. But that tends to, these injuries, 90%, as you had mentioned, would in some cases discourage people from going into athletics or going into sport or going into working out. It's too late for me. I'm going to hurt myself. But I
Mhm.
love what Duke has inspired you to really touch base on is okay, if this doesn't work, that doesn't mean we throw everything out. That
Right.
just means
Right.
we find something new. Am I right in thinking
Right.
that?
And as I put it, we embrace the pivot, right? It's all about, what makes you feel good and
Yeah.
fulfillment. And in Duke's case, he's thinking about, and again, this is not a knock on pickleball. We
No,
love pickleball, as you
of course
said.
not. Of
It's a
course not. We
great,
love
great
pickleball.
sport. But whether it's pickleball or you injure
Yeah.
yourself running, we wanted
Yeah.
to say, look, you can find that fulfillment and you can find that positive benefit and sustain, most importantly, sustain your physical activity
Yeah.
through other means. And Duke is looking at perhaps hiking,
Yeah.
taking a gym membership,
Hmm.
biking perhaps. And so I just love the fact that he's already thinking in that direction. And the other thing, Sheldon, that's important to say, it's not obviously our focus is physical activity, but Duke is already thinking about, he kind of messed around with the guitar a little bit. He's been doing some writing. So it's also the mental side of things because, surgery is a big deal and shifting gears is a big deal. So you want to like think about the mind as much as the body.
Absolutely, absolutely. And healing when you are of a certain age does
Yeah,
take a little bit longer, and being able to take care of yourself, springing right back into something, isn't always the case, and especially in the speed in which a lot of people
right,
want for it to come to play. And
right,
so I think that it's really interesting to explore various ways in which you can exert your physicality, various ways in which you can exercise, but understanding if that one doesn't work doesn't mean that it's over. I have a girlfriend that tried Pilates, right?
right.
Wanted to love Pilates, wanted to be a Pilates, yoga bag carrying kind
Mhm.
of, and it just, for whatever reason, whether it was the studio, whatever, it just didn't work out. So it's now trying to find her next thing that is ideal for her and not just saying, hey, I tried Pilates, it didn't work out. And so I'm
Right.
kind of done with this fitness thing.
Right, right. Because it is easy to just to kind of give up on the whole notion
Yeah.
of staying living healthy and keeping up your physical activity. It's real tempting to do that. But
Yeah.
what the experts will tell you is number one, of course, work with your physician, work with the medical community that's taking care of you, and make sure that what you're thinking about going to, can reconcile with your injuries and your recovery, that type of thing.
Yeah.
They also suggest obviously start slow, have
Yeah.
some very modest goals.
Yeah.
Decrease the intensity of your workouts and things like that. So there's a lot of, really key techniques that anybody can find on the internet or more ideally talk to your physician about
Sure.
to get some sense of how to best approach not only rehab, but then ultimately a pivot to a new physical activity.
Yeah, no, I think that it could be really interesting to explore walking clubs or hiking clubs or
Mhm.
those, because with the pickleball, as I understand it from a lot of dear friends that play, it's even more than the game itself. It's the social aspect. It's
Oh,
playing doubles. It's the community. It's the
yep,
apparel. It's, really the schedule and the regimen of it. And so
right.
if there are other less intense maybe sports or activities that have club aspects or group aspects, I think that that would definitely help because I think socially it has become, the people we play pickleball with, the
Oh,
people
yeah.
after pickleball we go to brunch, after pickleball,
Mhm.
we go to happy hour kind of
Right.
scenario. And so that I think is equally what people are longing for. Would you agree to that
Yeah,
too?
yeah, and that's what Duke was telling us
Yeah.
when we visited him is that it's much of a social play as it is a physical play. Now, in his case, he intends to still maintain the friendships and stay part of that community without engaging in the actual play. But again, that's why the mental health side of it is so important. That mental is also social, and doesn't mean that you have to like give up your friends just because you're pivoting to something else. And it also doesn't mean that, there aren't great opportunities for whatever whether it's a walking club or
Yeah.
something else, to find even more new friends, which of course, particularly with older guys, we have a little bit of trouble sometimes making friends. So those
Sure.
physical activities, those clubs and things related to that can be a real icebreaker and a way to engage our social relationships.
I love that. Well, I wish Duke the best of luck. I know that he's got a little bit of a road to travel, but I wish
Mm.
him the best of luck. And I love the fact, to Duke's dismay, maybe that this provided some inspiration as it relates to this topic. But I think it's very important to talk about the pivot. I really love this
Yeah,
conversation.
no, it's happening out there. So we want to share the ideas and share the experience.
You spoil me all the time. Gives us all a lot to think about. Again, we love the game
Mm.
of pickleball, but in the
Yes.
event that it is not for you, or other sports are not for you, or you have simply outgrown them, maybe it's time for you to pivot. Lewis, if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to follow, fan, and like you, where do they find that information?
You can get me on social media at Louis Bezich. And of course, my website, louisbezich.com, has everything that's going on in my world of healthy lifestyles.
I love it. I love it. Please follow, fan, and like my dear friend. You will not be disappointed. From all of us here at This Is It TV, I'm Sheldon Barlett Rumor, and we will see you soon. Take care.